Yes. Hi, everyone, and thank you, Dan, for the intro. I appreciate the extra 30 seconds of buffer time because it is a perfect segue to give you buffer time to join our live Kahoot. If you are coming back from an earlier session or maybe saw the agenda, today is taking, or this session rather, today at the conference is taking a little bit of a different turn because we'll be veering away from the static lesson and slide deck and presentation format, and instead really engaging and leveling up some energy via a live Kahoot. So you may have some familiarity already. Great. This may be brand new to you. Also great. We have time to address it all, and hopefully you'll walk away today with having some purpose, some charge, some inspiration on how you might take Kahoot tools and adapt them to your own course, your own curriculum, and your own experience. So like I said, well, right now it's 2:30. So I've already used my buffer time of 30 seconds, but we'll jump in anyways. I am going to present a live Kahoot rather than a regular slideshow presentation. So you'll actually be prompted to engage with me and play along, participate along, etc. And I will show you exactly how we are going to do that. If you would rather just watch along through your Zoom screen, that's fine too. Your experience really won't change from the learning part. You'll just be more of a passive listener instead of being able to participate and show your answers live. But as you are seeing now, this is a live Kahoot. You can probably already see the game screen up and the live Kahoot up. For the sake of my brain space insanity, I'm not turning on the Kahoot music just because I am the type of learner and type of speaker that needs to be focused only on one voice at a time. So if you are craving that Kahoot experience, I'll play the music at the end so that we can have that fun moment. But glad to have you here joining in. If you are brand new to Kahoot and you've never tried this before, I'm so very honored to be your introduction, and you will join along with us by visiting www.kahoot.it. I'm also going to share with you the link in the game pin to get started. So if you already have the Kahoot app downloaded somewhere in your device, somewhere on a mobile, a desktop version, however you access Kahoot normally, fabulous. Go there and enter this game pin. If you are brand new to Kahoot and you don't have anything downloaded already, I would encourage you instead to click the link in the chat. It will take you exactly to this live lesson that I am presenting now, our getting started guide to take you from pin, this entry point, to podium, the last slide at the end of a Kahoot. I see Michelle says she's in. Kimberly, students love when she uses Kahoot. Hello from Indianapolis, Illinois, Missouri, Florida, Dallas. Used before, the kids love it. And hopefully now you walk away today with not just seeing that kids love it, but from an instructional side, you love it too. And we'll show you exactly how to make it really effective and meaningful and purposeful and intentional in the learning space at that. Also, what's helpful with Kahoot is while I'm going to continue in the presentation in just a few seconds, you can always jump back in. I'm going to reshare that link a few times throughout our session today in case for whatever reason you disconnect, you get bumped out, or maybe you even need to step away at any point. Once you join in once, you can always come back again. But again, welcome. Glad you are here. Let's jump right in and get started. The Kahoot 101 experience, our getting started guide to take you from pin to podium. As Dan mentioned before, my name is Hannah Harris. I am coming to you from New York City representing the Kahoot at Schools team. And it is very special to be here talking to so many educators and teachers and facilitators. I come from the public education background myself. I was an elementary school teacher for almost a decade in the Northern Virginia area, and now get to be behind the screen, I like to say, connecting with educators near and far, really around the world, to empower technology, student autonomy, some independence, and of course, some digital literacy behind the scenes as well. Very glad to be joining with you today, and definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from, what background you might be having, what your subject matter expertise might be. Glad to know we have some Nova people and some Sova people, I like to say, the southern areas of Virginia as well. So from near and far, hello, hello, hello. We are going to be spending time today discussing a very, very wide breadth of tools available on Kahoot for any educator. And I definitely hope to encourage you and hope to inspire you enough that you feel excited to go deeper into these experiences too. At the end of our session, I'll share a few resources that you can go deeper and really get into those nitty-gritty experiences, because there is so much to learn and so many experiences to have to facilitate and to share with your students. We are also going to touch briefly upon where the Intuit for Education and just general financial literacy tools and subject and curriculum can fit into this experience. And I encourage you also leave any questions, drop any ideas, clarifications, confusions in the chat. I will do my best to answer them both throughout our session, and then I'll stay and stick around after my session has officially lapsed in case we need to chat back as well. But continuing on, we have 74 players in our live Kahoot already, and I see over 200 in our Zoom room. So if you want to keep joining in and passing along, I'd love to have you. And what you can expect today throughout our session. Like I said, we're going over a very wide breadth of information, and we'll follow a pretty flexible agenda based on some questions that you might have, or even where our group is headed together. To begin, we'll first talk about what makes Kahoot so awesome in the learning space, from both creating experiences and then also connecting, collaborating, and facilitating these learning experiences, no matter the age, the dynamic, the demographic of your learner. I'll share some top tips on how you might get started either creating your own Kahoot or even using Kahoots in content and curriculum that already exist, like from Intuit for Education, for example. And then we know that learning happens both during an experience and, of course, in the data collection and review and progress monitoring that happens after. So we're going to talk about the automatic data collection and reporting tools that happen embedded into the Kahoot experience, and what you might use or do to follow up with that experience as well. Already seeing some questions in the chat wanting to connect to the live Kahoot. Absolutely. Dropping the link again. Please feel free to keep poking me and reminding me if you need that link as well. So starting from the basics, Barbara just said that, oh, she's joining late, but Lori said she's interested in Kahoot and had never used it. This is the exact right place to be, because hopefully there's some familiar name or experience, or even a buzzing student that is like, oh, I just won the Kahoot as they leave their classroom. We've heard this term before in many different forms as both a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, an experience, but wondering kind of what Kahoot looks like in the platform, in the tool, and in the content solution. So taking a step back, wondering in one word, what's the biggest challenge you might have in your classroom now? And we'll take it a step further and talk about where Kahoot fits in. Suzanne says, engagement. Feel free, if you're not in that live Kahoot, use the chat and share away. Engagement, engagement, engagement. That seems to be a challenge across the board. And I'll tell you, I'm no longer with the classic elementary student. I was a first grade teacher for a while, no longer with that 6-year-old experience, but I see engagement continue to be an issue regardless of the age or demographic of the learner. So I hear you on that. And it seems to be the biggest representation and challenge for us so far. Engagement, along with behavior, students being present, participation, how to manage those students being on their phone, et cetera, kind of keeping students' attention, agree. And we'll talk about kind of where the tools fit in to address those experiences. As we're starting to introduce Kahoot, I said this session is really built for both the veteran Kahooter and the new user. How well do you know Kahoot? Because really, that helps me kind of gauge what to go quickly over, what to brush over, and then what to spend more time. This is just a quick question. It's one of our scale question types with a range of 1 to 5. You can customize the labels along the way. I see beginners, I see 2s, I see 3s, 54 people submitted their range. And we can see across the board, we have a diverse group, right? Oh, what a perfect place to be. I love to see that we have experts, new users, and of course, those that might just want to brush up their skills a little bit. So very glad to have you here along the way, and glad for that experience as well. So in the Kahoot experience, we know that it's not just the Kahoot voice, not just the Kahoot brand or product that is practicing what we preach in engagement and interaction and tools that make student learning awesome and fun, but we hear it from so many other accredited institutions, organizations, brands, reviewing tools as well. We see that across global edtech rankings and lists and users, we know that Kahoot is still and continues to be ranked #1 in terms of efficacy, effectiveness, ethics, and equity, meaning that we are really able to reach every student, every learner, and every experience in the curriculum, in a subject matter, no matter what your classroom might look like. And so hopefully in kind of in experience and in platform, that means that no matter what content, what curriculum, or what experience you might be using, Kahoot remains relevant, true, and effective in your experience. We know that also, not just in ranking and experience, but we also know that Kahoot tends to improve student outcomes. So we, again, as I said, practice what we preach. There's evidence and data behind these claims of being the #1 tool for engagement, and something that we're really proud and excited about continuing to renew and revisit year after year in both studies within classrooms, longitudinal studies within campuses and districts, and then through meta-analysis across 43 different studies in 2025 going into the 2026 school year. We saw that Kahoot enhances student learning outcomes. It's the attitude students might have toward learning, motivation to show up in each class, with attendance, with presence, with engagement, and that motivation each day. And the research revealed that using Kahoot on average raises academic performance by a typical full letter grade. So that's no small impact, that's no small reach. And we know that something as simple as converting a lesson that might feel passive or static or less engaging to something that really calls upon the student experience is what makes the difference in student learning outcomes and student achievement. Kahoot is backed by independent research and industry certifications. We've heard other platforms and brands and tools today mention the ESSA certification. We're ESSA level 3 and 4 certified. We have a gold badge for the International Certificate of Evidence and Impact in Education. That is a mouthful. And we also have an ISTE seal. So if you're attending ISTE next week in Orlando, definitely feel free to stop on by. We'd love to talk to you in person and then say hello again as well. We see the experience of teachers using Kahoot and kind of adapting Kahoot as their experience and what works for their classroom and their students, and really learn from those educators themselves on how we continue shaping Kahoot as a platform and a product. So for example, we're learning from teachers that really, like I said, from pin to podium, from the bell ringer at the beginning of the day to your last exit ticket at the end of a lesson, teachers are embedding the Kahoot experience. We see it to help support student-driven learning, formative assessment, and summative assessment to check along the way. We see Kahoot being used to introduce and instruct on new topic, but also to review at the end of a unit or review for a study guide. Kahoot's being used as a reward or icebreaker at the end of a week to maybe have some Friday fun trivia live in the classroom, and then also at home for assignments and self-paced work or even homework for independent study. Along the way, really, no matter the use case and the experience, we see that same viral energy of collaboration and community building embedded into the Kahoot experience. And in my opinion, that's what really sets Kahoot apart as being so fun, so exciting, and so, I guess, impactful for that student learning experience. In going one step deeper, seeing the interactive elements of Kahoot, again, across those different formats and use cases for teacher experiences, we know that Kahoot can be rooted in the conceptualization and processing levels of learning. We see sometimes like that pen and paper classic lecture note or study guide printed out from handouts year after year. It can be static, and those worksheets tend to focus on retrieval, question, answer, prompt, repeat again and again. However, on the Kahoot side, we really work to transform those static study guides into an engaged higher order thinking process, transforming that learning. Even though the content might be the same, the delivery and the execution can be that much more effective, again, no matter the content area. So it may have started once as a retrieval lesson based off definitions or rote memorization, now can really level up into something that's posing the learning and prompting students to be autonomous in their learning, independent in their learning, and taking charge of that experience as well. And what that looks like in actuality tends to be the focus on delivery and instruction rather than just focusing on the curriculum. We know that Kahoot is focused on empowering a learner to be involved and active within the learning process. And between me and you and the 200 plus people that are on this session, while we're really excited about the pedagogy and research and expertise we have in content and in curriculum delivery and instruction, we're less experts and subject matter experts in the curriculum and the content and the subject matter itself. So Kahoot is really about igniting the interest, the motivation, the collaboration, and discussion so students can develop, again, their own autonomy, their own charge toward learning. Along the way, we know learners develop and foster their future-ready skills in digital citizenship, critical thinking, and the way that they approach these digital tools, and the productive discourse that happens in conversation and connection along the way. And again, we leave the content, the nitty-gritty definitions, the fact checking on a document-based question, the test prep, the standardized tools, all of that up to you as an expertise or your colleagues or your district or your university and institution, however, up to you. And we just really make sure that the delivery and the execution of that is that much more engaging so students walk away having learned, not just having been lectured at. In the Kahoot experience and along the way in the learning experience, we know that this is kind of what detracts or differentiates us as a curriculum and instructional tool compared to so many of the other products and organizations and tools and add-ons out there. Kahoot learning is, again, focused on empowering that learning experience. We ignite interest and motivation and help collaborate students in discussion so that they are really in charge and of essence of their own learning. Along the way, we know that learners really, again, develop those skills and experiences. Kahoot allows facilitators to create and host learning experiences that do everything and literally anything from introducing new material ahead of a training or a PD session to reviewing content and checking along the way and summative assessment. Kahoot helps to conduct all of the different training experiences, the live collaboration, and so much more along the way that is embedded into that Kahoot experience. So what we're in right now already with 85 participants and 200 plus in this live Zoom room, hopefully those that are engaging on the Kahoot platform, separate from what we're seeing in Zoom, can really see how much more responsibility and proactive experience and active learning is initiated just by logging in and clicking along and playing the Kahoot questions and games along the way as well. And we'll see that in action as we continue on. So like I said, Kahoot is not the subject matter expert. Intuit for Education, and even you might just be the subject matter expert. So we're thrilled to collaborate with so many trusted experts in curriculum and publishing. In fact, on the Intuit page, you'll find nearly 50 ready-made lessons that are available for you or for anyone else in your school, in your district, in your team, whomever, to embed into your daily plans and curriculum. So while I like to think I know a little bit about what I'm doing with my own financial literacy, I definitely don't feel charged and confident enough to teach high schoolers around the world, but Kahoot can help make Intuit for Education, or you as a creator, reach all of those high school students around the world and take charge of their own learning by facilitating these experiences that are hosted and available digitally, accessible digitally to then be able to share, present live within your lessons as well. Not just specific to Intuit for Education, but with so many other curriculum publishers, content partnerships, and even individual teacher creators. We have millions and millions and millions of resources and tools and materials that are already available on the platform, ready for you to review, ready for you to play, ready for you to share along the way. And really, again, what makes that lesson so engaging is not just the content experience and what you're finding, but of course, how you're delivering it as well. So going back to the basics, this is where I thought we were starting before, but I got a little bit jumbled in the presentation. So apologies if I was repeating myself, but a beginning kind of focus and standpoint to take is what Kahoot can really be, again, as that noun, as the verb, as the experience and adjective along the way. We see it used in so many different formats. And today we'll kind of jump in to what that experience could be. Which of these could Kahoot help you with? So from the context and in the background, while you're answering this question, I'm going to jump into the chat. And how might Kahoot already be or become embedded into your learning experience? So Lori is asking, as you're answering that question, in Kansas coming this fall, no phones, no earbuds, electronic devices, no Apple Watches, nothing tech-wise are allowed in the classroom. I imagine many people are experiencing that change as well. We'll see how this goes, but the addicted, all of us, the more hands-on lessons may lessen their withdrawal from addiction. Totally. There are actually a few different ways that Kahoot is helping to do this, like offline Kahoot practice, knowing that there's still a collaborative element on Kahoot, but might not be digitally dependent. So I will gladly put a link in the chat after the session with a blog that talks more about what that looks like. All right. So in that experience, sorry, I may have gone too fast and seen it through, but lots of different formats and lots of different experiences on how Kahoot could be used. And really the quick answer is in any capacity and in any format. There are so many different ways that you might approach creating a Kahoot. And we're going to talk about a few guidelines to keep in mind no matter what your subject area might be. Be consistent with Kahoot. Make it a routine. We see teachers use Kahoot as a bell ringer for the first 5 minutes of every lesson or at the end of a week for a review. We see how important it is to go for quality over quantity. I saw someone just mentioning how we don't want students to press quickly through questions. Totally agree. What happens when you only have one question in a Kahoot then, and you're really, really focused on the learning, the conversation, the discourse that happens from a singular question, rather than just clicking along at that. We also suggest that you keep it anonymous. Think about how the nickname generators or even code names with your students might lessen some of the competitive edge or pressures that are part of the classroom learning in Kahoot. And then, of course, interweave topics and question types, mixing topics and formats and tools and ideas and designs really helps to create a more novel experience on Kahoot and keep students, again, more motivated, more engaged, more curious about a novel learning experience. As you're looking to find ways that you might create your first lesson on Kahoot or even revisit an existing lesson, there are a few different formats that you might use to get started. No matter what format you're using and how you might go about this planning, there are important skills that we can probably all agree on that are super crucial as students come into our classroom, whether for the first time in August or maybe even to close out the semester at the end of the year. So in your opinion, as an open-ended question type, what is the most important skill that you want to teach your students? Whether closing out the school year and you want to leave that lingering thought, or even to close out, or even to start with your new students come this August. Okay, sharing again the link to join the live Kahoot while we answer this question. Lauren says, I think after this, my team is going to use Kahoot this year. Yay. The one hurdle will be making sure that we can adapt it as we have very diverse groups that we present to, anywhere from 2 students at a time to 40 students at a time, sometimes tech friendly, sometimes not. We aren't traditional teachers, we're recruiters who visit classes and give presentations on our college campus. Lauren, you are not the only person who has this exact experience, which means we have lots of tools in place exactly for you in our workspaces that are completely editable. I'm going to leave my contact information at the end of this session, and I'd love to get in touch to share some more ideas on how we might do this. All right, so important skills being critical thinking, small amounts that build with time, critical decision-making skills, knowing how to use your brain instead of just automatic responses. I agree. We have 30 answers already coming in just our last session so far. Someone added in a note, critical decision-making skills. Students just want to Google or search everything, being lifelong learners. All right. We can see some coming in, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to come through these myself. If you want to take a screenshot, you're more than welcome. lots of ideas, and hopefully there are ways that you might be able to plan your Kahoot or think about your Kahoot to really get started. But as I mentioned, there are millions and millions of ready-made Kahoots that are already available to you for you to host, to play, to share, to experience right away. And they all help to address that experience of critical thinking rather than just rote memorization. The native and integral experience on Kahoot is really for that kind of learning experience itself. Those I want to say like social emotional skills, but it's more than that. It's the student skills. It's skills on being a person. And that's what really is honed and fostered by way of participating in an interactive learning experience. And with that, we have so many different question types that you can add and integrate in part of the experience. So you're really, really focused on avoiding that quick to answer, fast, click and random guess and check along the way, and are focused more on the classroom experience of learning and growth. So you can always add some variety based off of question types that go after a correct and incorrect answer, but also can go after those open-ended prompts that really encourage discussion that happens offline. So like we just,
Can I ask a
oh
question?
yes, please, sorry, I'm just rambling
So when
on.
you flipped to the thing and we picked our name, why would it make me look like an old man with gray hair? Why, I didn't even get to pick who I wanted to be, my emoji.
At the beginning of the Kahoot, when you logged in.
No, I put my name and said, "What is your nickname?" And I put my Lisa D. And then I see I'm watching you, and I'm on the side. It's a picture of me, and I have gray hair. I'm an old lady with gray hair.
Great question. I'm not entirely
Why
sure
did it
what.
pick my emoji for me? Let me pick my own emoji.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what. Oh, I see. Lisa D with it's like a blue face and George Washington
Yep.
curls. Yeah, so
Hmm.
they're automatically assigned. You have the option to update it. So there's just a random generator that will present
Hmm.
an avatar and an accessory, and you can
That's true.
always customize it.
Also, when I tried to finish, I didn't get to finish my answer. Did it take it because it was lagging a little bit?
Great question. We skipped through the answers on that last question just for sake of time. So perhaps it was checked in along the way. And of course, when you're in the classroom facilitating something for responses and grades and assessment, you'll spend more time. But that's something that we can absolutely check in a reporting tool after the live Kahoot, but not something I can go back in live. All right.
Thank
Continuing
you.
on. Yeah, of course.
And
Donna is asking.
I use it all the time, and I use quizzes also.
Great. It's always good to have variety. We're glad to see and be featured in any part of your lesson planning. I see a few questions as we're getting into the specifics. Can you address the cost? A lot of features are no longer included in the basic and free version. Totally get it. Kahoot believes to be forever free from teachers, from one educator to another educator. That's always important. You always want your content to be available. There are some varieties and add-ons and additional features and advanced tools that are part of that upcharge and subscription. The tools and features that I'm using are part of our basic plan. It was important to me that you could see and access tools that you could then use and experience in real life. There are options for you to add on AI tools, generator tools. I'll talk about that in a moment. And I know I'm going to run out of time with my questions, so I'll also share the presentation with you after the fact. But there are options where you can upgrade and upcharge a subscription at a few dollars a month, all the way to a larger like institution plan with your entire district or campus, and different cost differentials along the way. And some questions. Yeah. Okay. So as we are looking at the different types of question types, my main point and kind of prompt to leave you with and think about is that Kahoot can always be used to up level and engage existing content and materials. So what once might have been a call to action and vocabulary or a match definition or order these sequences or these important dates can really, really be up leveled to be that much more intriguing and connected to the student experience. So some examples of that might look like your question first starts as which of the following gases is a major contributor to climate change? This is just a quick memorization question. Your students could really just guess and check, answer randomly, or even quickly discuss with a neighbor. You could turn that question to really think deeper, focus on that more specific skill in Bloom's taxonomy and change it to an open-ended format where students are typing in how might daily life change if global temperatures increased by 3 degrees Celsius. So it's not only what chemical attributes are addressing or causing climate change, what happens now when that seems to be the case, and even further, adding some rationale, some reasoning, some critical thinking, even opinions and persuasion. Should governments prioritize reducing emissions today, even if it's slowing economic growth? Defend your answer. So all three of these formats are available within the Kahoot experience and do not change whether or not you have one question type or another question type, or what curriculum or another curriculum. Everything is there to really, really refine the critical thinking and the learning that happens along the way. Last thing I'll leave you with, in an effort of time, and I said I will send the slides back to you because there's so much more to be thinking about, but there are so many ways that you might add on to existing curriculum, existing resources. As Dan was mentioning, the teacher that has the file cabinet or the thumb drive or the floppy disk, whatever it might be, with years and years of curriculum already established, we're not saying reinvent the wheel. We don't want you to start fresh, find that research again. It's a lot of research. Instead, we're just asking that you spend those moments thinking about how you might re-engage students to be more active in their learning. And our slide sync feature does exactly that. So whether you are uploading a plain hand written file or a picture of your notes from a PD session or the notes you took today in this live Kahoot session, and you are linking to a Google Drive file you might have, you're uploading an existing PowerPoint, you're finding a link from Intuit's education platform, and you're syncing it on Kahoot. No matter what materials or resources you already have, Kahoot will review all of that content, we'll take it for you, we'll scan it, and then we will essentially regurgitate the material in a brand new format that's interactive and prompts students along the way. So like I said, you can search by topic, you can search by document, you can add in trusted sources or URLs, slides, presentations, OneDrives, however you're already creating with your team, with your group, and with your grade level, or even across an entire university or campus. Kahoot helps you connect the dot to make that learning more engaging, more interactive, and highly customizable along the way. Definitely want you to look at that, and I will share the links, and I'm definitely out of time finishing up with so much to continue sharing. So I hope you continue learning with me in the chat, sharing questions you might have. Reports are back. I already saw Valerie and Donna are commenting saying that they miss being able to see detailed versions of reports. They should have been back as of last Monday. So definitely check back in your account and send us a message if you're not seeing them, because there are so many resources and so much data to look at and share with what your students are experiencing along the way. Dan saying Intuit Kahoots are in each wrap-up, each unit's wrap-up lesson. That is, they're part of the experience. And there is also a profile page for Intuit for Education on Kahoot. You can easily find the logo on the Kahoot site as a way to continue learning and comparing those details.
Awesome.
But I'm sorry, Dan, I was like going fast trying to squeeze
You're
in
so fine.
every second, but I'm going to drop some links in the chat. Thanks for being here with me, and excited to keep learning and asking any questions along the way. Thanks, everyone.